I want Ryan Garcia next. I want that belt. You know, it's hard to, I can't say get up for the fight, because I always train hard, but ultimately, you know, it was a run-out fight. It turned out to be a good fight, and, you know, Regis is a great fighter, two-time former world champion, but, you know, I want that world title next.
I'll tell you what, man, the WBC, Mauricio Sulaimán, is gonna have to comply and do what they set out, what they announced was right to do at the moment, which what they got a lot of scrutiny for, which was elevating Conor Benn December 2nd to the #1 spot in the WBC welterweight rankings, even though he had never fought in the 147-pound division in 4 years, since 2022. And not just that, but elevating him to the #1 spot and giving him the mandatory fight between the winners out of Ryan Garcia versus Mario Barrios. Did we forget? December 3rd, announced at the convention, at the Bangkok convention. The WBC announces Conor Benn is now the mandatory between the winners out of Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios, which they took a lot of scrutiny for too. We can't forget when we heard the announcement that Ryan Garcia was getting an automatic title shot in the welterweight division, coming off a loss to Rolly Romero, and was 1-2-1 in his last 4 fights, getting an automatic title shot against Mario Barrios. Mauricio Sulaimán sticked up for him. He sticked up for him, and he explained both of his arguments why Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia were getting this kind of treatments. I want to read something to you today that comes straight from Mauricio Sulaimán's mouth. And the reason why I believe this fight should happen next. If WBC President Mauricio Sulaimán actually follows the rules, he says, this is going towards Conor Benn and his argument towards him on why they elevated him and made him the mandatory for the winners out of Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios, even though he hasn't fought in the welterweight division in 4 years. He says, we stood behind him and supported him when everybody turned their back, claiming he was a cheater when there was an anti-doping situation, even though he was proven innocent. We're very proud, and we always kept in close communications. We all know he gave advantage fighting Chris Eubank in a higher weight category. He always petitioned the WBC. He wanted to remain in the welterweight division, and that's why the WBC made him mandatory for the winners of Garcia versus Mario Barrios. Sulaimán added that he does not believe Garcia and Benn's treatment sets a bad precedent within the WBC. We always stayed close to him, and he is a natural welterweight who petitioned the WBC to support him, and we are doing that. And Ryan Garcia case is similar. This is what he had to say about Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is eligible to fight for the title because he's a former champion, right? He's a former WBC interim lightweight champion. Lightweight, 135 pounds, by the way, not 140. He's unquestionably talented and a highly regarded fighter. He says he complied with us what was needed for him to be back in boxing, and the WBC believes in opportunities, second chances. I'm very proud that he will be fighting for the WBC championship, defending why he believes, even though all the arguments that you could say Ryan Garcia does not deserve that title shot, they give it to him. He defends it, and he defends why he kept and elevated Conor Benn as the #1 and the mandatory for the winners out of Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios, the WBC welterweight title of the world. Based off of all that info that I just gave you, this fight should happen next. It should. Unless once again corruption gets in the way and somehow, some way, they pull this mandated. They say, nah, never mind. Never mind. Something, I don't know what Mauricio was going to say. Maybe, oh, it wasn't actually official. It was just something that I announced at the Bangkok convention for the WBC. Oh, no. You know what? We changed our minds. We're going to give Ryan Garcia a unification fight so he doesn't have to comply to the mandated fight. Unifications, trap mandatories, right? And if that's the case, then who would Ryan Garcia unify with? Because he's not fighting Rolly Romero. He's not fighting Lewis Crocker. And he ain't fighting Devin Haney, at least for all we know right now. Right? This fight should happen next. Ryan Garcia just went to Twitter himself and said, I'm down. Let's do it. Conor, bum. He's seen his performance against Regis Prograis and said, I can beat this dude. Conor Benn wants to fight. The WBC mandated. I don't care if you've got this heated relationship with Dana White, Zuffa Boxing. You don't want them to be at all involved with an event with the WBC. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if the Zuffa World title isn't on the line and it's just for the WBC Welterweight Championship, will Mauricio Sulaimán comply and do what is right here by fulfilling his obligation and what they mandated themselves? Will he? I don't know, man. But all I know is that this fight should happen next. Ryan Garcia should be fighting Conor Benn in what was a mandated fight on December 3rd by the WBC. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull it. You look it up right now. No, it has not been pulled yet. He is still the mandatory fighter. But we're going to see what happens next. Let me know what you guys think, my friends. This is the MMA Boxing Addicts channel reporting to you, and I'm out.